From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm John Kennedy. Speaking at the Reagan National Defense Forum in California, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan reacted to Syrian rebel successes that allowed them to overtake the military led by President Bashar al-Assad. Sullivan noted a social media post by Donald Trump where the president-elect pushed for a ceasefire in Ukraine, connected the significant loss in Syria this weekend to Russia's abandonment for its own war front.
I think he even referenced the sheer scale of the casualties that Russia has suffered in Ukraine, and for that reason they're not in a position to defend their client Assad. And on that point, we're in vigorous agreement.
Trump noted close to 600,000 Russian soldiers lay wounded or dead in a war that he says never should have started and could go on forever. Statistics Canada says investors represented 3 in 10 residential property buyers across Nova Scotia through 2018 to 2020. The data shows Nova Scotia with the highest volume of such buyers among provinces where the data is available. Statistics Canada defines real estate investors as buyers of at least one residential property that is not used as their primary residence. Investors represented 37% of buyers in rural Nova Scotia and 34% in BC. Hoping to leverage a long-time friendship, Conservative Member of Parliament Jamil Jivani has tapped his history with Vice President-elect J.D. Vance to try and connect with Donald Trump's inner circle. The Conservative MP for Durham and American Senator for Ohio have been friends since they both attended Yale. The cross-border display comes as Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre works to formulate a response to Trump's 25% tariff threats against America's closest neighbors. An investigation into a bonus kickback scheme has led to the arrest of a Boston city councilor. Tania Fernandez Anderson was arrested by the FBI at her home on Friday. She's been indicted for allegedly hiring a relative, giving that person an inflated bonus payment, and then demanding more than half of it. U.S. Attorney Joshua Levy spoke following the arrest.
The behavior we allege in today's indictment is a slap in the face to the hardworking taxpayers in the city of Boston, who have every right to expect that the city's coffers are in good and honest hands.
Anderson is facing 5 federal counts of wire fraud and 1 federal count of theft and pleaded not guilty in court on Friday. A new nuclear submarine known as the USS Arkansas has been christened, marking nearly a decade in the making since the U.S. Navy announced a Virginia-class submarine would bear the state's name. Navy Secretary Carlos del Toro called the ship the very best of the U.S. submarine force capabilities. It's the 5th naval ship for the name Arkansas, including a battleship. The most recent was a guided missile cruiser that was decommissioned in 1988. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Connor McDavid had a goal and an assist, while Leon Draisaitl chipped in with 2 assists, and the Edmonton Oilers defeated the visiting St. Louis Blues 4-2 in NHL action. Dylan Holloway and Jake Neighbors scored for the Blues. Trevor Moore scored 2 empty net goals, and Adrian Kempe added a goal and an assist as the Los Angeles Kings defeated Minnesota's Wild 4-1. A person familiar with negotiations says the Baltimore Orioles have agreed to a $49.5 million U.S. 3-year contract with Canadian-born outfielder Tyler O'Neill. Lindsey Vonn finished in the middle of the pack in a pair of lower-level downhill events at Copper Mountain in Colorado as she competed for the first time in nearly 6 years. The 40-year-old is on a comeback trail after stepping away from the sport because of injuries. Vonn wasn't concerned with times and pacing so much as getting used to the speed and gaining the necessary points to compete in the World Cup circuit. From the Canadian Press, I'm John Kennedy.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.